RDC Rocket League is a pro league where only the best of the best players are allowed in. LeBron James, an elite striker and one of, if not the best Rocket League player in history. Desmond Johnson, an elite defender who has expanded into the striking realm and is looked at by many as the best current player in the league. But today, we're going to look at the two players who are compared often by fans and by the media. Dylan and Leland. Leland is the primary goalie for Team Orange, led by captain Desmond Johnson. And Dylan is an all-around midfielder for Team Blue, led by LeBron James. These two players have been rivals for some time now, and the fans love to compare them. So let's waste no time and get straight to this breakdown. So let's start at the rookie versions of these two players, because to properly rank two players, you need an overall view of their skill sets, even at their lowest. So when Rocket League first started on stream, they decided that the most fair teams would be Ben and Dill versus Dez and Lee. So this entire first video I'm going to skip because I'm pretty positive this is Lee's first time ever touching the game, so we won't take anything from this one. So we're going to go straight into this video, and this is going to be the start of their rivalry. In the first set of games, to basically start off their careers, we kind of get a picture on how the future of these two players is going to be. Let's start with Dylan, then we'll talk about Lee, and then we'll compare the two for this first stretch of sets and streams. So one thing is very clear with watching Dylan's early Rocket League POVs. He doesn't really have a strength at all. Dylan, for a lot of these games, kind of just ball chased and missed a lot of shots. But for any new player to a game with the skill ceiling that goes to the damn moon, this has to be expected. So we need to just look for potential in Dylan. I don't know if most of the passes were unintentional, but Dill set up Ben pretty well in these games. And in the video with the first real sets, Ben and Dill went up 7-3 in games by the end of the video. Now, 95% of the reason they won these games is due to Ben being the best player by a mile. But Dylan did have some solid highlights and stat lines in some of these games. So overall, rookie Dill obviously wasn't the greatest player, but he had really good potential to be a great playmaker later on down the line. Now let's get to Leland. So in these first videos, you can't really make a 100% accurate opinion on Leland because one, we can't see his POV, and two, he's new to the game, so we can't expect much anyway. So strictly off of eye test, we see Lee make the same mistakes as Dill, and we know he's new, so we can just assume he's the same skill level as Dylan. He just doesn't have that playmaker potential like Dylan. But this video titled, "He's Lost All Hope," gives us information and live footage that the world would have been better off not seeing. I lost all hope in Leland watching this damn video. Niggas got the notification that RDC posted and got happy and finished the video wishing they never clicked on it. So coming into this video, I expected to see gameplay similar to Dylan's. The first game starts and I immediately see why this team of Dez and Lee just couldn't win. Leland doesn't use the ball cam. And no, it's not like he doesn't use it a lot or he turns it off when he needs it. No. He doesn't use it at all. You can skip through the first 16 minutes of this video and every part you click on, Leland will have that bitch turned smooth. Nobody expects Lee to do too much because at this point in the game, he's new to it. He's not supposed to be good. But nobody expected Lee to do nothing. Nobody expected him to do nothing. It got so bad that most of the top comments, you know what? Every top comment on this video is just fans clowning Leland. In the chat, the entire stream was begging Lee just to turn on the ball cam. He was sightseeing the maps and spectating a 1-on-2 match because he didn't count as a player. It got so bad that in this era, Leland booted up Rocket League with his POV and he got impeached.
Switch POV. Should we switch POV? That's the switch with Leland.
Yeah, switch. Y'all should switch, bro.
So clearly Dylan was better in this era and he had potential. So this era of Leland, nothing I can do, didn't have Boost Manigo has to be skipped because there's nothing to compare. So we're going to go to when Mark and Ippy were introduced as new players, because this is when Leland started playing the game and not just hopping on to enjoy the view. So let's start with Lee this time. He saw a huge improvement in overall timing with hitting the ball and just game sense. But what I saw that he had the most potential in was playing defense. Leland had some good defensive highlights and showed as an overall player, he got better. He still wasn't good at anything, but he did get better and showed some defensive potential. Dylan, in my opinion, didn't really improve much. He still wasn't good at anything. He still kept the passing potential that he had, and he was the most useful when he was setting up his teammates. So both Dylan and Leland at this point didn't really find their role yet and still learning the game. So I can't really give an 100% answer here on as to who's better, because Leland simply turning on ball cam made him similar in skill to Dylan. And one thing I can give Dylan is that he was not afraid to try things that was not in his bag at all. So overall, in this era of new additions and 3v3s becoming the new normal, I think Dylan was a better teammate simply because he was a better passer. He wasn't necessarily a better player because Leland was just as bad as him on offense, and neither player had figured their role out yet. So I'm just going to give it to Dylan. Now let's get into the mid to late season of season 1, because this is where real comp begins and all of RDC understands the game a lot more. Let's start with Leland again here, and he really found his role at the end of this season. Lee became the primary goalie for Team LeBen James, and he was pretty decent at defending. He had good patience on the ball, had good timing on his hits. The cons of his defense though was when he went for a save, he committed to that bitch. He full committed to that save. So any sort of fake you hit Lee with, 99% of the time he went flying into enemy territory and never came back. But other than that, his role was goalie and he played it well. As far as the other skills go, he didn't really need to score or set up shots often because Ben and Mark were the aggressors on the team anyway. And to be honest, it was for the better, because if he just stayed on defense, the team did better. He was ass at offense 99% of the time. Now for Dylan. From the beginning to now, in my opinion, Dill still hasn't found his role. I guess he has the same role as Mark on Team LeBen, the second striker and playmaker, but other than Dill's passing, he was like a jack of all trades, but instead of good at everything, master of none, he was ass at everything. He was a very inconsistent player. He's going to give you 3 goals or zeros across the board. When his POV in this season was revealed, it looks like most of the match he didn't even know where the ball is. And that's also topped with him having an allergy to the ball cam that would help this issue out. And other than his good passing when he actually hits the ball, the only other skill he had was driving at 200 miles per hour and booming the other team. And with that, I'd say towards the ending of this season, Leland is 100% the better teammate and the better player, even if it's only by a slight margin, just because Leland's offense is just as bad as Dylan's ability to keep track of the ball. So now we're going to get into the current state and the entirety of season 2, the newest and current season of Rocket League. We're going to talk briefly on this Ben and Dez team up era, considering it was like watching the 2016 NBA Finals. In this era of the 2 best players being on the same team, Dylan was damn near the same skill level that he was before, even though he had to take on a bigger role considering Ben was no longer on his team to carry. On the other hand, Leland thrived on a team where he quite literally needed to do nothing but defend. And to be honest, he barely needed to do that because Ben and Dez were so good at rotating between offense and defense. Now, I'm not going to give either one of them the point here, and I'm just going to call it even, because if Dylan was on this OP team, he would have even looked like a better player. Basically, everyone now had an established role. Leland was the main goalie and Dylan was the second option / playmaker. Leland at this point has the best patience out of all of the non-star players, and he is a top 2 defender outside of Ben and Dez. Now, don't get me wrong, he's still horrible at offense, and anytime he leaves the goal, they just start losing because he's unintentionally helping the other team when he tries to score. But knowing the arguably best player right now is on your team in Dez, and Mark, who, if I'm being real, he's become the 3rd best scorer in the entire Pro Rocket League scene. You really never have to score or set anyone up, especially with these 2 on your team, and Leland wasn't good at doing those things anyway. So let's get to current Dylan, who has yet to find what he's good at, in my opinion. Like, I watch Dylan and that's just what I think. Now, before someone gets on to me in the comments, when Dylan has a good game, he has really, really good games. But when he has a bad game, let's start with his pros. I like to call Dylan a floor raiser because, like I said, when he's having a great game, he does it all. Dylan is the most inconsistent player I've ever seen in my fucking life. He plays really good or he is the worst player in the match. So my final verdict on Dylan versus Leland, if I'm being honest, I would rather have Lee on my team than Dill. But I think the overall better player is Leland, even if it's not by a lot, which I think it's not, but he just is. Like, you know what you're getting with Leland, a good, consistent goalie. With Dylan, you're either getting a better player than Leland or the worst player on the field. And I don't think that chance is worth taking at all, if I'm being honest. And as I'm making this video, they just dropped a new Rocket League video. So if Dylan gets more consistent, he's going to be better than Leland just because he can do it all. And if you guys haven't already, go check my community post on my channel. I posted a roadmap of the videos that are 100% coming out this year. And I post on there frequently. So if you want some updates, then go, check it from time to time. I also made a Twitter, so go follow me on there. So that's basically it. I love you.